Hello, everyone. It is 7 p.m. Wednesday night, and that is the time each and every week for our brand new podcast, Mind Power Secrets. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Tonight, we have so much to go over. We've been receiving so many great questions from you since last week's podcast, so we're going to get to those. And this week, it's all about spirituality. You know, it's really a misunderstood concept. It's a journey, self-discovery. You know, it becomes a realization of not only who we are, but who we want to be. Spirituality represents a challenge, the challenge of reaching beyond our normal levels. You know, they say 95% of all self-improvement fails. And it's not the person's fault. If you belong in this category, or if you're just starting to discover your inner self, today, I'm going to give you 12 questions that you have to answer. And when you do, you're going to start seeing real, positive, lasting results. I've carefully selected what it is that you're going to ask your subconscious and your conscious mind. So you're going to need to take your time. You're going to need to think about these questions. So in a little while, I want you to find the right place, relax, and just start thinking. If you have a pad and a pencil to write down your answers, that would be great too. Plus, I'm going to talk about what you do when you feel like people don't feel the same way as you. Why people nowadays are so convinced that their view of the world is the truth. Boy, that's a good one. The brain's selective filtering system. What it is, how to use it to your advantage, and so much more. Plus your questions. If you're out there watching, remember we're live. Drop them into the comment box there. And first, we're going to start with one of my favorite topics, your thoughts creating your reality. Thoughts create reality, period. And if this offends you, well, I don't know what to tell you. Some people are quick to say it's victim blaming. You know what? That's BS. When you deny this fact, you know what you do? You deny your power. The real secret, my friends, is how we interpret and how we perceive the events in our lives and how we respond to them. That's where it is. So it's time to live your truth by using my mind power techniques to unlock your subconscious mind. You're going to get all of this and so much more on today's episode of Mind Power Secrets. Thoughts create reality. You know, there are a lot of people out there who are offended by that idea. They're offended by the idea that we create our reality. They see this as a version of victim blaming. Nobody asks for bad things to happen to them. I couldn't agree more. But as someone who has been helping people change their thinking and their behavior for decades, I can also say that I couldn't agree more with the idea that we do create our reality. Denying this denies your power. There are three buckets in life. There are things we control, things we influence, and things over which we have no control. So what is not under our control are the many random events of life. The families we're born into, earthquakes, pandemics, illness, job layoffs, death, fire, car accidents. Those are just a few. These are circumstances that we experience and events that we are aware of. We influence other living things with our actions. If you walk into a room, see a stranger sitting there, and decide to slap them in the face, that person will surely respond differently than if you walked up to them and smiled. But you don't just determine how that person responds. You don't get to determine that. The person could decide to run away, they could turn the other cheek, or they could slap you back. What we control and where we really start to create our own reality is in how we perceive or interpret or think about the events in our life that generate our feelings about those events and how we subsequently respond with our behavior. No one can choose your thoughts or actions. Those are yours alone. If your boyfriend or girlfriend breaks up with you and your thought is, I will never find anyone else to love me again, then you will likely experience some very negative emotions like depression. And you are likely to engage in behaviors consistent with these feelings, such as staying in bed On the other hand, if your thought is, I'm glad this loser is out of my life, then you're likely to feel and act quite differently. You choose which to think. Now, here is where the creating part gets serious. Your thoughts, if you think them over and over and assign truth to them, become your beliefs. And beliefs create a cognitive lens through which you interpret the events of your world, and this lens serves as a selective filter through which you sift the environment. You sift it for evidence that matches up to what you believe to be true. For example, if the belief you form when your partner breaks up with you is, I'm not attractive enough, and then you go to a party where 10 people tell you you look great, and one person says your outfit is interesting, you are likely to go home and fixate on the interesting comment. You might think other thoughts consistent with your beliefs, such as, why do I always pick the wrong thing to wear? I have no style. Other people dress better than me. I must look like such a loser. No wonder my ex dumped me. The other 10 people who said you look great might as well have not existed for you. You only took in the evidence from the environment that was consistent with your belief, which then reinforced your original belief that you're not attractive enough. Because of the brain's selective filtering system, and we often refer to that as priming, it works on activation, inhibition. That's the model it works on. So when the brain is primed by a certain belief to look for something, it shuts down competing neural networks. So you actually have a hard time seeing evidence to the contrary of the belief that you already believe. That's why people who are depressed see a more depressing world. It's also why you are so convinced that your view of the world is the truth. What most people don't realize is they're participating in creating their own version of the truth. What you take from the environment through your belief filter becomes your self-concept. Your self-concept is made up of I am beliefs about who you are presently, and I can beliefs about who you're capable of being in the future. From these I am and I can statements, you create stories and narratives about who you are that tell yourself and other people all day long, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I can't do it, I am smart, I am capable, I can't achieve my goals. You are the main character in your story, and you write the script based on your self-concept that is largely self-created. You write the story of what you think is likely and possible based on what you believe is true, and then you take actions consistent with those expectations. When you act on what you expect will happen before it actually does, you're participating in creating the experience. For example, if you don't have a positive self-concept and you fear rejection when you go on a date or a job interview, then you're not likely to present your best self by acting calm and self-confident. You are likely to be anxious and act in a way that is more likely to result in rejection. Hence the self-fulfilling prophecy. We act in ways that bring about what we believe is true. That is the very definition of creating our reality. You are participating in creating your reality whether you know it or not. You are doing it whether you believe it or not. There is nothing magical about it. There is nothing woohoo about it. It's simply the way our brains operate. When you deny or you reject or you're unaware of this, then you have very little power and you will always feel like you are a victim to your life. But with awareness, my friends, comes choice. When you start to understand this process and make it work for you, you're now empowered. That's our favorite word. You're empowered to be in charge of the life that you create. One of the things I talk about all the time is the fact that we are brainwashed, all of us. From the moment that we're born, we're programmed by our families, our friends, the school, government, the media, society at large. For the first 8 years of our lives, our subconscious mind is in record mode. Now, it's during those years that our subconscious creates both our thought patterns and our belief patterns. And here's the scary thing. Those are the rusty, out-of-date programs that are running in your mind today. And it's that mindset that is ruining our lives because it's keeping us from happiness. So what if I told you there's nothing that you couldn't do, nothing you couldn't be, and nothing that you couldn't have, and not in some airy-fairy, unleash your inner giant kind of way. Now, I've spent the last 2 decades touring the world teaching people about the immense powers of the mind. During that time, I've worked with presidents and prime ministers, professional athletes, celebrities, and corporate CEOs, the most successful people on the planet. And I can tell you, there is one thing that is the same for each and every one of them. And that is, they understand mind power. They know how to harness it. They know how to focus it where it matters in their lives. For over 20 years, my overriding belief has been that ordinary people are capable of extraordinary things. We all possess almost limitless capabilities that are far beyond what the senses can perceive and what the mind can understand. It's far beyond our wildest imagination. I want you to experience greater things in your life than you ever thought possible. And that's why I'm here. Tonight, we're live. It's Tuesday, December 7th. It is 7:02 p.m. And I'm going to be answering your questions. I've received a few great ones already. We're going to get to those first. But if you have anything you want to ask live, you can drop it into the comment question box and we'll get to it. All right. So all you got to do is sit back, relax, open your mind, and we're going to go through this together. By the way, tonight, if you stay here till the end, I'm giving everyone who attends this Q&A a free copy of my book, The Secrets of Mind Control. It's a $30 value, my gift to you. And trust me, you want this book. If you deal with fear and anxiety in your life, if you're avoiding situations because of it, trying to avoid emotions, this work will help you reclaim your life because you'll get your life back from crippling anxiety. And I've got a step-by-step approach in there. Nearly a third of all people suffer from something, fear, phobias, panic attacks, obsessions over the course of their lifetime. In this book, we talk about everything from social anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and so much more. At the end of this, I'm going to give you a link to download your free copy. No strings attached. It is my gift to you, and I want you to have it, especially now during this crazy time in the world. All right, so let's jump into it. We're going to go first to a question I received earlier by direct message. And that was, let's pull that up. What questions should I ask myself when I'm starting my spiritual journey? So this is obviously somebody at the beginning of their journey. We're all on it, and we're all in different places on that journey. And there's really no end to it. So if you're anywhere along the path, welcome, and you're winning. Because just being aware is 90% of this battle, this mental battle. So we're going to go deep into it. Questions you should ask yourself when you start a spiritual journey. The thing is, spirituality is misunderstood, especially if you're putting it up against religion. So a lot of times people are conflicted. It's kind of a misunderstood concept, but it's a journey nonetheless. And it's a journey of self-discovery. Because you're going to come to a realization of not only who you are, but who you really want to be. Not who the neighbors wanted you to be or your parents wanted you to be. It's who you want to be. Spirituality represents a challenge of reaching beyond those normal levels. That's why 95% of self-help, self-improvement doesn't seem to work. And it's not the person's fault, you know? So I'm going to give you 12 questions that you need to answer yourself if you want to see results. And of course you do. Transformation is what we're going for. Change isn't enough. You want to be the butterfly that can't go back and become the caterpillar because of transformation. So I'm going to ask you some questions. We're going to do this together. I want you to take a moment with each question, think about it. And we'll do this live because I've put this together. I've worked on this all day today. I've carefully selected what to ask, because it's going to spark your conscious and your subconscious mind into action. So you need a moment or two to answer carefully. So right now, it's like you're here with me. Just find a comfortable spot, relax, and start thinking. You don't have to write your answers down. If you're near a pad or your journal, you can certainly do that. Writing your answers along with it would be beneficial down in the long run when you come back to it, but not a problem. All right. So let's get to the questions. These are the questions that you need to be asking yourself. Question number 1. Who are the people with the greatest impact on my life? You want to identify the people who have influenced your lifeline. You want to keep those people who have positive effects in your life. You want to discard those people who bring negativity, and you know who they are. And if there's someone close, a close family member, maybe cutting them completely loose isn't going to be possible, but you can definitely change the way it plays out. So the first question, who are the people with the greatest impact in my life? All right. Question number 2, how have these people affected me until now, until today? You want to determine how those people you love have influenced the way that you believe. When we're born, everything is amazing and new, and we're blank. We have nothing downloaded into us yet. It is our parents that teach us right and wrong in their eyes, religion in their eyes. So we are programmed. So I want you to try to remember incidents from the past. Try to think about special occasions. Try to think about situations that are somehow connected with your spiritual beliefs. So how have these people affected me until today? And question number 3, who is the person with whom I feel the most comfortable? Think about it. Who is the person that you feel the most comfortable around? This is critical. Like Joel Bauer says, mission critical. Because among all the people in your close circle, there has to be someone who is more special than anyone else. Why is that? Because he or she has such a positive effect on you. So find this person and keep in touch with them as often as possible. Question number 4. This is where the rubber starts to hit the road. What is the ideal job for me? Now, not just what is the ideal job for me, but what if there was no money in the world, right? What would you do then? Now, I understand that's more than one question, but you want to realize what is your best area of expertise? Because if you know how you can share it. You have to know how you can share it. That is how you monetize if you want to sell it. Helping others by sharing your expertise is the best way to achieve success in your life. But you also want to measure your dependency on money, because that's important. So question number 5, how important is my job for me? Do I love my job? If you're working on a field that you have no interest in, then you have to identify that. You have to go out and seek a more suitable job. You should be doing things you actually love. I know what you're thinking. It's my job. Brent, it's easier said than done. I get it. But your passion, those dreams are there for a reason. They are yours. They are attainable. So, do you love your job, the job you're in right now? Now we're going to move a little bit. I don't like to play in future or past. Now is the only moment that matters. The past is okay to go back if you're using it for reference, but living in the past is a mistake. Would have, could have, should have. And then fear of the future is a mistake. Scared to death of things that are never going to happen. And all of your time is spent in the past or the future and not here now, which is the only way you can do anything. So question number 6 is, where do I want to be in a decade? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you see yourself? This is a trick question to test your skills in setting and visualizing those long-term goals. Now, we talk every day about visualization. It's a big part of my morning routine. It's something I teach. Visualization is important if you're going to take control of your mindset. So think, where do I want to be 10 years from now? Be relaxed. Don't get stressed about it. Just think about it. Where do you see yourself? Now, remember, this video will be available. It's live now, but you can go back. You don't have to do these and worry that you don't have enough time. You can feel free to go back, watch this video. It'll be left up for you, okay? But just think, where do you want to be a decade from now? And since you're in the future there in your mind, I want you to think, what are your goals for this month? What are your goals for this year? What are your goals for the next? You want to be empowered with the ability to set and visualize goals, especially to start short-term goals. Because what will happen when you reach those goals, that burst of energy, that burst of accomplishment will be the fuel that drives you farther. So short-term goals are important. Think about this later. Where do you want to be in a month, in a year, the year after that? Try to make a clear and precise image of the goals you have in your mind. Take an inventory. Are those goals still present? Is it something your parents wanted for you? Is it even something you want anymore? Are the dreams that are locked away in your mind even really your dreams anymore? That is important. Question number 8. How can I avoid a stagnant life? It's another tricky question. You may not even want to answer this because you don't want to believe you have a stagnant life, right? You don't want to embrace any darkness. A lot of people don't. In order to see the light, though, sometimes you've got to go into the shadow. You've got to do some shadow work. What you want is to always evolve and always be a useful part of the universe. So how can I avoid a stagnant life? Just think about that. Number 9, do things happen in my life for a reason? Everyone seems to have an answer for this question. Some will tell you nothing happens without a reason. What's your opinion? Do things happen for you in your life or not? For a reason. Really, that's a deep question if you think about it, because you can fall in 2 camps there. So think about that one. Question number 10. Oh, this is another big one. It's another deep one. What is my purpose in life? What is my purpose in life? Not only that, but I would say there's a part B to that question, and it is, do I have one? Another thing Joel Bauer, a mentor of mine, says all the time is dreams come true if you have one. So do you have one? Do you have a purpose? Do you know what your purpose is? Because you want to identify your true purpose in life, because you have to have one. If you don't, you're never going to find it. A great friend of mine was Gavin McLeod from The Love Boat, Captain Stooping. And he used to say, we did a lot of cruises together. We hung out a lot in Palm Springs. He used to say life is like a cruise. Life is like a cruise ship. And of course, Captain, it is. But tell me, how is that? But what he said was very profound. You know, the ships are now it's hundreds of millions of dollars, multi-million-dollar ships. They have fantastic crews. They have all this state-of-the-art equipment. In the morning or the night before, they can set their destination in the computer. The passengers go to sleep. The next day, they wake up. They're in the next port of call. It's amazing. That only works if you know where you're going. So imagine if the same boat, the crew just decided to leave. And instead of putting in any data, they just turn on the engines and let the ship go. The ship's never going to go anywhere. It's going to definitely sink, right? It's never going to make it out of the harbor, let alone into some other port. That's because there is no destination. You have to know where it is that you're going. That's what you need to do. Then when you'll start to see your true purpose coming in this crazy world. Question number 11. We only have, this is one more after this. Question number 11. What experiences have shaped your spiritual beliefs? What experiences have shaped your personal or your spiritual beliefs? The question here is to dive into the subconscious. The best time to get in there, by the way, early morning, late at night, right before you go to sleep, first time when you wake up. That's when you can get in there a little bit with some of the exercises that I teach you. But this question is to get in there. By answering this, you'll be able to identify all the limiting beliefs. So all the false beliefs that you were brought up with. And question number 12, the final question, the big one, the one everything hinges on, is right here. Am I a good or bad person? Take your time before answering that question, and keep in mind that evil and good are relative terms. What is good for you might not be good for me. Another thing, there is nothing that is absolutely evil or absolutely good. Can a knife be evil when it's used both for slicing bread or killing somebody? People give positive or negative polarity to things. Is the internet a work of evil or good? So these are 12 spiritual questions you should be asking yourself if you're just starting out on your spiritual journey, or if you want to do a little pit stop and just check in with yourself. All you have to do now is go back, watch this video again, and perform this exercise, and really do yourself a favor, write down the answers. It seems easier said than done, but I promise you, when you finish this, you will be so well armed with great knowledge. And it's not just knowledge that you collect from books and all of that. There are knowledge collectors, but this is knowledge about the true you. And that is priceless, because everything you find out about yourself and your inner workings are going to transform the you that you are now. All right, so that was question number 1 about the spiritual journey, questions to ask when you go on the spiritual journey. The next question comes from one of our moderators in our Facebook community, Lorianne. She wants to know, how do I stop? So she's saying she's empathetic, she's compassionate, and she's expecting that from other people. So I keep breaking my own heart and it hurts. So what should I do? That is a great question, Lorianne. We'll dive into that. One thing you have to do, and I want you to keep this in mind, all right? Keep this phrase in mind. You have to stop expecting you in other people. Just remember that. You have to stop expecting you in other people. Now, it's nasty, it's logical, but there's part of me, that thinks about this. We're always told we're imperfectly perfect. We're told to focus on our positive qualities. So what we do is we start looking for that same sense of perfection in other people, to see the good in others, except we're looking for that good to measure up to our own perceived goodness. And when we don't get it from other people, we're left disappointed. I know you've been there the same as I have. I used to do that all the time in the past. People suck. Why is it so hard to find people who are compassionate? All the good ones are gone, etc., etc. But what exactly makes up a good, genuine, decent human being? Universal qualities like kindness and being respectful and compassionate and giving. We start to forget that those qualities may only be seen in the way we expect to see them. A person is nice because they let someone behind them go ahead to the grocery store because they only had a few things, yet you were next behind with only a few items, as well as that person didn't let you go in front. Now they're suddenly inconsiderate because your expectation of them was let down. Meeting expectations is something that still I suffer with, but I used to battle constantly. I used to be convinced that people were impossible to please, and that included myself. Obviously, because my needs and my wants change daily, even hourly. So now as an adult, I'm seeing how this made me fearful and early on codependent in ways I had to change. I always felt I had to work at maintaining people's different expectations of me, and I had to hate the parts of myself that other people didn't like. This ultimately made me resentful of other people, but I also hated the fear of disappointing others and feeling disconnected and feeling unworthy or not enough. They tell us all the time people's opinions of us shouldn't matter. And of course, they really shouldn't, but that's not true, because to us, they do matter, especially the opinions of those we love and care about. So this fear becomes a big internal struggle for people as they grow up and become adults. They're trying to figure out who they are, who I truly am. And they're doing that because they're conditioned to believe that others' perceptions of them was true. And so it's very, very difficult to unpack that for some people. The big takeaway, and it's a conscious mistake we all make in life, is understanding how expecting to see yourself in other people can have such a negative impact on your mental health, on your overall happiness. Because if you live your life based on your expectations of others, you are going to live a slow, painful life. We have to stop expecting to see us in other people. So, what are some of the things we need to stop? First, we need to stop expecting others to fulfill us or make us whole. There isn't anyone on earth who knows you best, nor has the power and the duty to your happiness or purpose in this life. Just like they say money can't buy happiness, stability may be one thing, luxuries are another. Some of the richest people in the world, and I have worked with and met some people that would blow your mind. They're still some of the unhappiest and the most unfulfilled. Nothing, no one is responsible for making you completely happy or fulfilled except for you. We go all over the world trying to find someone to make me happy. When I get this job, I'll finally be happy. When I get this car, this house, this, that, this, and it puts happiness off in the distant future. First, you grant yourself happiness because happiness is a thing that's inside. Go out in the outside world and try to buy a pound of happiness. Go out and try to get a bucket full of passion. Not going to happen. You have to give those things to yourself first. It's only you completely responsible for your failure or success in this life. Next, this is a good one. Stop expecting others to agree with you or understand you. Now, Lorianne, these aren't just for you, obviously. This is for anybody who would have this question, but I wanted to go deep into it. Personally, I don't believe our purpose of life is to convert, to belittle, to invalidate, to change anyone's opinion, beliefs, or way of thinking. Only my own directly affect me, no one else's. So why allow someone else's choosing to ruin mine? Now, this goes without saying, we should be more open-minded and we should be more accepting of other people. But the more you honor your own opinions, your own beliefs, your own feelings, the less approval you require from other people. Sometimes this need for validation turns into the need to change and control other people. I used to go into a frenzy when anyone tried to imply or instill or preach or solicit me about their views, knowing that mine were different. Because the last thing I want to do is be chastised for, every one of us having different views. Growing up, my dad was not encouraging about opinions, right? And beliefs. So it was difficult to manage. But now it's been years and years that the anxiety, the fear, all of that has gone away. But expecting other people to agree. People have different opinions. Nobody sees reality the same way. No two people. Because reality is always seen through the lens of your past. So three people standing together are seeing the world in front of them completely differently. Okay? Facts and data and personal experiences, those are all logical. But many people will ultimately believe what they want to believe, even if it's a fantasy, the popular majority or the lesser minority. Many hold on so tight, whether they lose the respect and the acceptance of others or not, they don't care. I never understood or saw the benefit of having these stone-hard perceptions and these opinions or beliefs. Yet we all struggle with having them, disagreeing with them sometimes. The goal of trying to make people understand and think the same of you is just another way of conforming to this groupthink. But more than that, it is also a complete waste of energy. Next, stop expecting others to pick up what you throw down. I love this. People come and go momentarily, or they stay throughout our lives. And they are here to help us, they support us, guide us, motivate us, encourage us. And we've all been there, using self-sabotaging behavior simply to hear those words of affirmation or to be taken care of by someone else. But people are not meant to be used as vessels for your negativity. For instance, say you have a job interview tomorrow and you're nervous. You tell a friend, You don't think you're skilled enough to be in this corporate world. You just don't think you can do it. No harm, no foul. Everybody needs a pick me up now and then. But this kind of behavior is done by program. This is someone who tends to kick themselves in the ass when they're already down, or intentionally out of a need for someone else to blanket their wounds. Times get tough, and it's reassuring to have those in your life you know you can rely on, love you, guide you. But relying on others to save you and essentially bringing them down with you, it's a surefire way to live in constant, repetitive misery. You know what else is something you need to do? Stop expecting others to like, love, and respect you. This was so big for me because people usually, especially back in the day, it was a love or hate thing. There usually was no gray area. And I had such strong opinions. Everything is different now. But you have to stop expecting others to like, love, and respect you, especially when you're not giving that to yourself, because you got to give it to yourself first. The way you treat yourself is showing other people how to treat you. Let me say it again. The way you treat yourself is showing others how to treat you. But the one thing most forget is that while you might be the most perfect, ripest peach on the tree, not everyone likes peaches, and you have to be okay with that. This is why you're encouraged to surround yourself with those who accept you, who value you, rather than expending your energy trying to fit in a square into a circular hole. This is most people, I would say, this. Stop expecting others to change, or to be accountable, or to be the bigger person, or to take the blame. You can't make someone be anything. You can't make someone else be more or less anything. And especially, you can't make someone be the ideal image that you want to see. We expect people to change, and we wait around miserably for it. We feel like this is some sort of self-sacrifice. It's become a conditioned act as human beings. Now, I say human beings, I believe we're spiritual beings. We're having a human experience. Down here, we think we have it backwards. We're all think we're humans trying to be spiritual. It's actually the other way around. Change is very personal, and change is very individual. It's a self-choice. When change is genuine, it will occur not because you want it to, or not because you prayed for it, or not because you think it's the best thing to do. The other person has to want it. That's the only way it happens. That's the catalyst for change. So maybe they see you and they are motivated by your change. That's okay. That's a great thing to do. But trying to force someone, tell someone, that never works. But you could be the example that makes others change. And you let them see the value in it themselves. So when there are things you want to change about your relationship, your partner, your kids, your friends, it's because you are wanting access to something you can't control. The only person you can control and change is you. If you remember that, so many problems just fall away. They can't hold up to that sentence. The only person who can control you, the only opinion that really matters, the only person that's in control of this, your reality, inner reality, the reality in your head, we all have one. That is actually your primary reality. The outer world is reality too, but we're all in it backwards. We have all these things going on in the outer world and we take it in. It's actually the other way around. We're control freaks. What else do you need to stop expecting? How about this? Stop expecting an apology. Stop expecting closure. Stop expecting forgiveness. Because the hard truth is, you don't always get it. The person may have passed. The person may be hard-headed. The person may be one of a million different things. But frankly, it doesn't matter because you don't need it. You don't need I'm sorry. You don't need I forgive you to move on and be happy because they've got you trapped. They are still winning if they are, and I have clients and students that are controlled by a parent who's been dead for 30 years. You're allowing someone else's approval to control you and to control your happiness. And guess what? Then it might not come. And ultimately, it's never going to change the situation. Be the one brave enough to give yourself the closure you need.
Be the one who's strong enough to forgive yourself. Every morning, part of my morning routine, I do meditation, I do transcendental meditation, I do visualization and affirmations, I do gratitude, but I also forgive myself, and I forgive the people I care about, and I forgive people from my past, and I let go of that. You got to take off the chains that you allow. It's like you are wrapped up in chains and locks your entire life and never realize you've got the key in your pocket. It's time to drop those chains and step out into your life. Just a few more. I have a couple of more. These last few, I just felt so deep about. Stop expecting others to be happy. Stop expecting others to be happy. You're driving along, you're minding your own business. There's that one person that cuts you off. They swerve across 3 lanes, slam on their brakes, beeps at the car in front of them for driving too slow. All these curse words, people yelling at themselves. I'm thinking, dude, chill out. What the person did was uncalled for, was unnecessary. And this is just a light example. But at the same time, you weren't taking into consideration they could have been dealing with an emergency, even if it was just racing home to go to the bathroom. You know, I remember going 90 miles an hour down the highway the night my dad died. And I got the call. You don't know what's going on. But the easiest way to start making changes in your life, and I kid you not, is traffic. See what you do in traffic. Those are the easiest things to do. The guy in front of you is driving slow. You're yelling, you're cussing. You're having a whole two-way conversation with this guy. He has no idea. You're yelling at him in your head. You're doing his part, your part. You're creating stress and anxiety in your body. Chill out about it. Driving is the easiest way to start, because without even realizing it, we consciously assume, we dismiss, we label people, we invalidate the way people are feeling, and we do it all the time. Everyone has their own internal battle, their own internal struggle, yet we always expect to see other people's light. We don't want to see their darkness. It's really not that hard to be happy, even when you're not, for the sake of other people, right? See how bad that sounds? It's really not that hard to be happy, even when you're not, just for the sake of others. It's not right, right? It's important that while everyone should embrace their light, that in no way means you should ignore the darkness, and especially your own. Shadow work is so important when you're on your spiritual journey. Now, being a 25-year entertainer, speaker who's performed all over the world, known as the mastermind, that I couldn't go without this one. Stop expecting others to read your mind. If I could give you one piece of advice, this is it. People always looking for one thing I could do. This is it. When it comes to your personal relationships, it comes to your friendships, we all want partners, we all want friends, we all want family members to make us happy without having to ask them, right? That's fine. I get it. But expecting a connection between others to have a basic, consistent flow without effort, without direction, without expression, it's always going to be a dead end game. Your wants and your needs and your desires, they change all the time, daily, hourly. Today, your desire may be to have a clean house and finish the book that you're reading. Tomorrow, maybe it's accomplish work so you can have a 3-day weekend and you can take a painting class. Yours is different from everyone else's. If one day you need someone's support, but the next day you need time alone, the only way you'll get that is to tell them, because they are not mind readers. If one day you're social and the next day you're locked away somewhere, you got to communicate that. When you're expecting other people to read your mind, what are you doing? You're setting them up to fail. You're setting them up to look like the failure. And when your expectations aren't met, then you bitch about it. Those complaints are hidden desires, and only you know what they are. When you complain to your partner or anyone that you both never do anything fun or whatever it is, you're expecting them to read your mind, to discover the hidden desire behind your complaint. That's because you're hoping for a specific end result. Maybe you want your partner to step up, make you happy, do more date nights without being asked. This is why most will say when they tell their partner to step up on date night, and they do, it often feels forced. Easy answer, it is. That's because your hidden desire actually has nothing to do with them. Yet it's easier to simply blame someone else because that's who is expected to fulfill them. So it's no wonder we're often so disappointed. In order to have that organic intimacy, that natural connection, you have to express, you have to use your voice, you have to communicate your true desires, not expect your partner to read your mind. So the true desire behind the complaint that you're having, so say this idea that you never go out together may really be that you want to try some new restaurant in town, see some movie that's out now or something. So see, there's something behind it. And finally, last but not least, what else do you need to stop doing? You need to stop expecting a specific outcome or an end result. If you get rid of the idea that the world has to be the way you want it, things have to be the way you want it. I want this, I don't want that. I'm going on a picnic, so it can't rain. It's got to blah, 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 blah. You are setting yourself up for a life of misery because you've pitted yourself against the universe. You think things have to be this way to make me happy. They can't be this way, and on and on and on. Nobody can make you feel inferior or anything without your consent. The crazy thing is people still consent to so much negativity in order to get a specific outcome. What does that mean? Well, we consent to anger. We consent to offense. We consent to disappointment simply because we're expecting validation and gratification as the result. When things don't go our way, we expect compensation. When we go above and beyond or do things for others, we expect something in return. Sometimes we expect something from nothing. This is the quickest way to disappointment. Life will not always be fair. Life will not always be easy. And people will usually not live up to your expectations. But you are also not meant to live up to other people's expectations. Powerful. So powerful. Suffering, really, what is the line? The first rule of, or the first suffering is, I want this, I don't want that. As soon as you have that mindset, it's going to completely screw you up. Completely. Now, as promised, I'd like to give you a copy of my book, The Secrets of Mind Control. We talked about it earlier. Mind control is not what you think. People hear mind control and they believe it is controlling someone else's mind. Being able to see someone and hypnotize them. This, however, is real mind control. This is the mind control the government paid to study. This is the mind control where you learn to control your own mind. Because when you do that, no one else can control it for you. It also will give you help with anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. Any kind of fear or crippling anxiety is covered here, and it's absolutely free. I want you to have a copy. It's a $30 book. It's my gift to you. Just go to brentwebb.com/free-book. Hyphen's got to be there. I found out, my team just told me. It's brentwebb.com/free-book. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's certainly been our pleasure, and I hope you picked up some really useful tips and techniques that you can start using right away. That is why we're here. That's what it's for. You got to put these things to use in your life. Now, if you've not joined our Facebook community, it's a fantastic group. It's absolutely free. People just like you on their journey of awakening. And all of my tips, techniques, and strategies of mind power are there as well. You can join for free right now. Go to brentsgroup.com. That's brentsgroup.com. So that's pretty much it. We'll be back again next Wednesday. So remember, any questions or comments, keep them coming. Anything that you want to know, anything that you are curious about, anything that you're worried about, just let us know and we'll talk about that. All right? So that's all I got for you. Go out and enjoy the rest of your day today. Enjoy the rest of your week. Remember to stay present, stay in the moment, stay in your power, and remember, don't worry, be happy, and feel good. I'll see you next time.